Hello all, welcome to the next lesson of Java programming language, that is Introduction to OOPS. In this lesson, we'll be discussing all the features of OOPS, that is object-oriented programming systems like class or object, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. Here we'll be just giving a brief description about all this. Later we'll be discussing all these into individual lessons. Okay. When I say object-oriented programming language, uh, languages like C++ or and Java uses classes and objects. There is no program in C++ or Java without class or object. Therefore, these kind of programming languages are called as object-oriented programming languages. A class is a module which itself contains data and methods to achieve some task. Okay, so a class contains methods, as we have learned as we have learning from the beginning. Okay, to just have a look at object oriented approach, this is the main task where main method is included, class with some main method, and these class 1, class 2 or all the other classes are the modules that we have here, and whatever methods that we write in that particular class are called as task. So this is the general approach, how do we approach for OOPS concepts. Okay, when I say features of object oriented programming systems, as I said you, these are the features like class or object, encapsulations, abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. We'll be discussing about all these now. As of class or object, entire OOPS methodologies have been derived from a single root word called object. So this object is everywhere in the OOPS programming languages, from the beginning of the programming language till to the end. And at an object in is anything that really exists in the world. As we have discussed in the very first beginning lesson of the Java programming course, object is something that really exists and that can be distinguished from the other objects. And every object has some properties and can perform some actions. Like previously we took example of a dog, which can have some properties like name, color, height of it and all, and actions like it can bark, it can eat and all. So here also we'll be looking at some other example. And a class is a model for creating objects and does not exist physically. That is the difference between class and an object. This really exists in the world, so that we can see, and this is not something that physically exists. Okay, as for considering an example of that, class is a person here. Person generally doesn't exist, but a human being or a man generally exists. Okay, that is how we can differentiate. He has some properties like name, age and gender. He is having some actions like he can talk, walking and eating as well. When you compare this into an object, you can give name as Ram, it should be Ram here, and age is 25 and male is gender, gender is a male. He can talk, he can walk and he can eat. Okay, this is how person class and Ram object can be seen and easily understood with this example. When we create class and object in Java, class can be created by using keyword class. It should have all small letters, and a class describes the properties and objects performed by its objects or actions performed by its objects. Okay, I'm simply creating a class person which is having a name and age as variables, and talk and eat, these are the methods or actions that uh, this person can perform. Okay, when we say encapsulation is a mechanism where data and the code that acts on the data will bind together. That means binding in the sense simply adding together, like what do we see normally, how can everything be put together and bind it tightly. Okay, here a class is a very good example for encapsulation because it is having both variables and methods in class. Like previous example, these two are the variables and this is method. This class is binding all this together from here to here. Okay, the variables and methods of the class are called as members of the class, and the variables in the class declared using keyword private. I'll let you know why do we create this private, because we want those classes only within that particular class. We want to use those classes or methods within that particular class, then we'll be using keyword. All right, and the methods of this class are declared as public when you want them to be used by any other class, so we'll be declaring it as public. Encapsulation protects the inner class because we use the private keyword from the other outside environment. Encapsulation isolates the members of the class from members of the other class. This is how it is so secure when you use the concept of encapsulations in your programs. A small program, example program of encapsulation, you write here private. These two, name and age, have to be used only within this particular class. You cannot extend them to any other class. Okay, in the method of talk, we are asking to print the person name and the person age. Abstraction is hiding the unnecessary data from the user, exposing only the useful data that he is interested in. Okay, very good example is car, because when we buy a car, we only tries to understand how to use it, but not what is the mechanism undergoing, how it is actually working. Okay, that is a very good example of abstraction. We'll be not telling the user what methods or what programs or how it is actually execution procedure and all. We'll be just displaying a program and asking him to give any input if necessary, and displaying the output. Okay, the advantage of this is that every user will get his own views of data according to his requirement and will not be confused with unnecessary data. Here, for a simple example, bank account number is private for us, name is private, we look only balance only for us, and profit and loan. When you declare all this into private, this can be used only within this class. Public void, this is a method to display for clerk. We'll see what all we can display for clerk is only account number, name and balance. We don't display profit and loans. Okay, this is how these two are hidden from the clerk. Okay, when you come for inheritance, this creates new class from existing class. Like for example, when if we use public methods, we can tell that any other class to use methods of our class. In that case, the concept of inheritance is used to create new class from the existing class. So this new class will acquire all the features of existing class. However, like very good example of parents, their features they give to us, and we have both our features and their features as well. Okay, here also the same thing, new class will acquire all the features of the existing class. A simple example, we having int a and int b, using a public void method 1, we are extending class a to class b. That means this class b will contain all the features of class a plus additional feature int c. And all right, this is how it can extend from one class to the other class. Okay, all features of a are available in b, as I said, and an object b is created. It contains all the members of class a and its own members as well. It has the original class is called a superclass, and the derived class b is called a subclass. Here this is the superclass and this is the subclass. And there are three advantages of using inheritance. We can create more useful classes whenever needed by application or any software that you want to develop. This can be created because you need not always write those particular methods. You can simply extend them from the previous class. And the process of creating a new class is simple, that we saw in the previous example, and it can already exist in the class, so we only have to simply extend it. Managing the code becomes easy because since all the programmer create several classes in a hierarchical manner, they can be segregated into several modules. Okay, protected is another access specifier in Java that is generally used in inheritance. Previously we saw only private and public. This is protected, the third access specifier. This is the one that is generally used in inheritance. Polymorphism, the word polymorphism comes from two Greek words, poly which means many and morphism which means forms. Polymorphism simply says us we have many forms. Okay, many and forms. Polymorphism represents the ability to access several different forms. Okay, to see a simple example, class 1, this is having a method calculate of int x, and we are giving an output saying that square values of x, here we are multiplying it x into x. When you extend this class to this, we are using the same method calculate, but we are finding out the value, cube value of this x by multiplying it once again to the square value. Okay, to summarize whatever we have learned, object oriented approach advocates using classes and objects in writing programs. This means that every program in Java is containing objects and classes, and it comes with features like encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism, which we all discussed till now, and will be still discussing about these in detail. So please be through the course so that you can understand from the starting point till the end point. Okay, this is all about this lesson. If you have any doubts or any questions, please let me know through comment section. I'll make sure I'll come back to your questions. Thank you.